for CalRecycle's July public meeting. I'm Christina Files. I'm an information officer here at CalRecycle. Today's live update is designed to serve Californians with accessible, plain language information about CalRecycle programs, actions, and priorities. We welcome your feedback as we continue to improve our public meetings. As a quick reminder, you can submit a public comment in two ways. If you're here in person, you can use one of our meeting room microphones on either side of the room at the end of the meeting. And if you're joining us remotely, you can submit a comment using our public comment portal. Just go to CalRecycle's homepage and click on the public meeting banner at the top of our site. There you'll also find a link to today's agenda, the presentation slides, and our live webcast. We'll address public comments a little later. Our first agenda item today is the Director's Report. Chief Deputy Director Mindy McIntyre joins us now with some important updates. Good morning, Mindy.
Good morning, and thank you everyone who is joining us online and in person for our second hybrid meeting. Really appreciate seeing faces in the audience again. Today we're going to hear updates on progress over many of CalRecycle's programs. In August, we'll have more to share about SB 54 and pending legislation. But with plenty to talk about, let's get right to those agenda items.
Thanks, Mindy. Next on the agenda, new updates on two major state laws to cut pollution and move California closer to a circular economy. Deputy Director Zoe Heller joins us now. Good morning, Zoe.
Good morning. It's great to see some people in the audience today, and thank you for those that are tuning in remotely. CalRecycle has some new resources to share and some key date reminders about SB 1383. But before we get to that, we're going to give an update on SB 343 implementation, which passed last year to promote truth in advertising. It is focusing on the chasing arrows symbol on products and packaging. The law prohibits false or misleading claims. While CalRecycle will not be determining the recyclability of products or packaging, the department is required to first conduct a material characterization study to see what kinds of materials and contaminants are coming through select material processing facilities throughout the state, and to collect new information in our recycling and disposal reporting system, RDRS, to identify recovered materials and pinpoint how they were collected. We will be publishing both the results of the material recovery or the material characterization study and our RDRS data publicly for you all to access. In coming weeks, CalRecycle expects to release the contract solicitation for the material characterization study, similar to our waste characterization studies that we've done in the past. The department's next informal rulemaking workshop for SB 343, one is set for next week, July 26th, and then the next one will be on August 30th. We anticipate that our formal rulemaking will begin in October. All right, so now I'm going to move over to SB 1383 implementation for this month's update. More Californians can now recycle their organic waste to help reduce landfill methane emissions as new programs roll out in communities across the state. I live here in Sacramento and have been getting a lot of questions from neighbors about what they can do with their food waste, so it's pretty exciting. We want to thank those of you who attended our June webinars focused on our electronic annual report submissions. You can find the webinar recordings on our YouTube channel. 1383 reporting for the first half of 2022 is due by October 3rd. Coming up on August 1st, county reports on SB 1383 capacity planning are due to CalRecycle, covering August 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024. And finally, jurisdictions with an approved notification of intent to comply through the SB 619 process will start hearing from CalRecycle this month to develop their corrective action plans, or CAPs. These plans include specific tasks and timelines to correct identified violations and report progress through established check-ins with the department. As a reminder, we're continually updating and adding information and resources on our short-lived climate pollutant page, and many of those come as a request from you. So feel free to reach out, let us know if there's any guidance or technical assistance that we can provide, and please sign up for our SLCP listserv to be notified of upcoming webinars and new resources that we publish. Thank you.
Thanks, Zoe. We know methane is a super warmer in our environment, so cutting landfill methane emissions can help fast-track climate progress. Californians are already experiencing the realities of our warming planet as wildfire season becomes more intense and more destructive. Deputy Director Tina Walker joins us now with an update on recovery efforts from 2021 wildfires.
Good morning. California's 2021 disaster debris removal operations are nearing completion, and preparation for expedient mobilization to our next mission is now underway. The Northern Division operation clearing disaster debris resulting from the Dixie Fire will complete by the end of August, and the Central Division operation addressing impacts from the Caldor Fire will complete no later than October 31st. All residential parcels have been cleared, and what remains are the special inclusion of cabin debris removal from federal land in El Dorado County. Overall, we're 91% complete on all structural debris and 100% complete on hazard tree removal. 85% of all parcels enrolled have been completely cleared of disaster debris and returned to the owner for redevelopment. As part of our mission to assist individuals and communities recover from the devastation of disaster, CalRecycle works closely with local government and stakeholders to preserve community history and protect endangered natural resources and species. Northern Division IMT worked closely with Plumas County and the Concrete Preservation Institute, a national nonprofit organization, to assess and stabilize historic buildings, including the sheriff's substation, drugstore, and a Masonic hall, to stabilize these structures for safe debris removal operations and future restoration. In doing so, valuable literature was recovered from the rubble, and the sign from the historic Pioneer Cafe was retrieved for preservation, which you can see in this photo. Both Northern and Central Division modified operations to protect live nests with active incubation of a variety of protected bird species. One example includes Central Division's discovery of nesting red-shouldered hawk, a medium-sized raptor with breeding range spanning from eastern Northern America along the coast of California to northeastern central Mexico. 200-meter disturbance-free buffer zones were established around each active nest in accordance with the Operational Environmental Protection Plan, and the team implemented other protective measures, including operational pauses, modification of operational patterns, and preparing for relocation of nests as necessary to a nearby raptor facility. This year's operation has also expanded our reach from private property debris removal to federal land operations. In early May, the state received federal authorization to use public assistance funds to remove structural debris from the Caldor fire impacts on United States Forest Service lands in El Dorado County, and stood up the USFS division for this part of the operation. Of the 177 estimated structures, the state has to date received 168 rights of entry forms for enrollment into the state program. Asbestos abatement and structural debris removal operations began on July 5th, and completion for the Central Division, including USFS cabin removal, is targeted for no later than October 31st. And as we reported at last month's public meeting, the state has instituted new procedures which will ensure an even faster deployment of crews in the years to come. Our master services agreements for assessment and monitoring and our pre-qualified bidders list will significantly reduce contract execution time and expedite issuance of notices to proceed to our contracted crews. Additionally, the Master Services Agreement is available to other state departments and local governments implementing their own disaster debris management plans and operations.
Thank you, Tina. Next on the agenda is grants and loans. Zoe Heller is back with new awards to help California cut waste and increase recycling and reuse.
CalRecycle has approved a $10 million recycling market development zone loan to Southern California Organics Recycling. The funding for the new purchase and installation of new equipment will keep an additional 47,000 tons of organic waste out of landfill and recycle the material into biogas and fertilizers. The upgrades will also support 4 new jobs in the Los Angeles County community of La Puente. Since the start of the RMDZ program, CalRecycle has supported over 213 recycling businesses with $175 million in loans to turn old materials into new products and create jobs. We also have some local Conservation Corps grant awards to announce. All 14 certified local conservation corps applied for a total of over $25 million in funding. All 14 certified corps serve youth from disadvantaged communities, and one provides services for the border region. You see some of the local cleanup, collection, and recycling programs conducted by these groups. These programs help clean up our communities and reduce waste, but they also help our youth gain valuable career development skills in the process. Certified programs are located in North Bay, San Francisco, Civic Corps in Oakland, Sequoia out of Tulare County, San Jose, Sacramento. Also Central Valley, Fresno, Kern, Inland, Los Angeles, Long Beach, Orange, and the San Diego Conservation Corps. The local Conservation Corps grant program was created under the Beverage Container Recycling and Litter Reduction Act to provide beverage container recycling. The program since expanded to support local cleanups, collection and recycling programs related to used oil, waste tires, and covered electronic waste as well. Next on the agenda is the eligibility and criteria for the $10 million in new grants for the beverage container recycling pilot projects. Last year's budget dedicated the funds and authorized 5 additional pilot projects so more communities could customize the redemption programs to include things like at-home pickup for bottles and cans, bag drop redemption, and mobile recycling programs that serve various locations in a community. Of the $10 million in new grant funding, CalRecycle will allocate $7.5 million to new pilot projects. That's $1.5 million for each new project. The remaining $2.5 million is allocated to previously approved pilot projects that are looking to expand scope and size of their project. Each existing pilot would be eligible for up to $500,000 in additional funding. I have approved this item. You can find more information about eligibility and criteria linked to today's agenda. And please reach out to CalRecycle if you're interested in customizing a local pilot project for your community using the email address here on your screen. A quick reminder about other funding availability. We have a number of other projects or programs that are open that you can see here on the screen. Applications for our tire incentive program are due on July 28th. August is the application deadline for our latest round of tire-derived aggregate grants and our farm and ranch cleanup grants. RMDZ loans are continuous and greenhouse gas reduction loans are continuous. Be sure to visit our funding page for a comprehensive list of all of our grant and loan programs.
Thank you, Zoe. California's extended producer responsibility programs cut waste and increase recycling by making industry responsible for managing their own products. Take a look at how California's mattress stewardship law benefits our communities and our planet.
They're big, they're bulky, and Californians buy about 4 million new mattresses and foundations every year. Too often, many of the old mattresses used to wind up here, illegally dumped in our communities, costing California taxpayers millions a year for cleanup.
Well, mattresses aren't easy to handle, and historically, the lack of affordable and convenient recycling options led to a lot of illegal dumping.
And a lot of trash. Since mattresses don't condense well, they take up a lot of landfill space.
It's a big waste of resources because mattresses are made of materials that are highly recyclable. Materials like steel, foam, wood.
In 2014, California passed an extended producer responsibility law that took the burden of collecting and landfilling used mattresses off of local governments, instead requiring the mattress industry to collect and recycle them. The Used Mattress Recovery and Recycling Act requires mattress manufacturers, renovators, and retailers to form a stewardship organization to develop and run a statewide recycling program.
The program contains elements to reduce illegal dumping, increase recycling, and to reduce the public costs of managing old mattresses.
Through a $10.50 consumer recycling fee on each new mattress.
And then they pass that money on to a nonprofit stewardship organization called the Mattress Recycling Council.
The stewardship organization operates the recycling program, educating consumers.
Take a look at buybuymattress.com to learn about how and where to recycle your old mattress.
Expanding convenient collection options.
Retailers are required to pick up your old mattress when you have a new mattress delivered. The program also has drop-off options, and 98% of Californians now have a free mattress collection option within 15 miles of their home.
Combating illegal dumping.
This has helped California communities remove close to 200,000 improperly disposed mattresses.
And transforming an old problem into new products like carpet padding, oil filters, appliances, building materials, and mulch for landscaping.
7 million mattresses have been recycled since 2016, and in 2020, MRC achieved a 77.1% recycling rate.
Supporting California's move to a more circular, remanufacturing economy with less trash pollution and more green jobs.
The Mattress Recycling Council submitted a used mattress recovery and recycling plan to update its actions to meet the goal of this program. Deputy Director Zoe Heller has more information on this item.
In 2020, the Mattress Recycling Council reviewed its stewardship plan. It is required by statute and determined that amendments to the plan were necessary to reflect operational changes since the program's implementation in 2015. On April 25th, 2022, MRC submitted its amended plan to CalRecycle. CalRecycle must approve, disapprove, or conditionally approve the plan by July 25th, 2022, which is 90 days from receipt and just next week. Staff reviewed MRC's plan and found, while substantially compliant, additional information related to recycling goals, collection, including of illegally disposed mattresses, education and outreach, and inclusion of the mattress recycling charge is necessary for CalRecycle to determine if the plan can be approved. The director must determine whether to disapprove or conditionally approve MRC's plan by July 25th. Either option would require MRC to resubmit a plan within 60 days of the director's decision. Based on MRC's consistent demonstration of program compliance, staff look forward to receiving a resubmitted plan that fully meets all requirements and contributes to the continued success of California Mattress Stewardship Program. MRC's plan and staff analysis are linked in the public notice for this item on today's agenda. Next on the agenda is the Biomass Conversion Facility Annual Report. Biomass conversion facilities turn materials like wood waste and nutshells into electricity. Senate Bill 498 requires annual reporting of the amounts, types, and sources of biomass materials. Facilities started reporting this information to CalRecycle in 2015. CalRecycle has 24 active biomass conversion facilities. Back in the 1980s, there were more than 50 in the state, and there's a number of reasons for this decline, including cheaper sources of energy like natural gas and solar, and fluctuations in the subsidies to these facilities. For 2021, facilities reported on material accepted from 4 source categories. More than 900,000 tons came from ag, over 700,000 tons came from forestry, more than 1.3 million tons from mill residue, and over 800,000 tons from urban sources. Overall, totals accepted by biomass facilities decreased by about 1 million tons, or 22%, from 2015 to 2021, with a 4% decline from 2019 to 2020. But the sectors did not all behave the same way. Urban declined by 49%, agriculture declined by 31%, mill residue increased by 1%, and forestry increased by 31%.
Thanks, Zoe. As a reminder to those of us joining virtually, you can submit a question or a comment on an agenda item through the public comment portal. Go to CalRecycle's homepage and click on the public meeting web banner at the top of our site. You'll also find a link to today's agenda, the presentation slides, and our live webcast. We'll address all public comments a little later in the meeting. Meeting California's climate and waste reduction goals would not be possible without the hard work of our cities and counties. They're responsible for implementing the local programs to use less, recycle more, and meet state environmental protection standards. CalRecycle is responsible for overseeing how well jurisdictions are implementing these programs. Staff does this by conducting site visits, analyzing documentation, and through review of jurisdictions' annual reports, which include disposal information and self-assessments of their programs. CalRecycle conducts more intensive jurisdictional reviews every 2 or 4 years, depending on the jurisdiction's past performance. The department also has the authority to conduct anytime reviews to make sure cities and counties are in compliance with mandatory commercial recycling and mandatory commercial organics recycling requirements. For jurisdictions that still have regulated businesses not complying, CalRecycle is moving jurisdictions further down the path of enforcement to make sure 100% of covered businesses are either provided collection service or issued a waiver. Deputy Director Zoe Heller has the results of CalRecycle's latest compliance reviews.
CalRecycle has been reviewing each city and county's implementation of mandatory commercial recycling, AB 341, and mandatory commercial organics recycling, AB 1826 programs since they were enacted. As part of the anytime review process that Christina just described, affected jurisdictions are submitting a plan to CalRecycle to address actions and a timeline as to how they will ensure the regulated businesses have collection service or are issued a waiver. While most jurisdictions are implementing these programs to cut climate emissions and landfill disposal, this month CalRecycle has identified program gaps for 28 California communities. These jurisdictions are implementing portions of the program, but we're still seeing levels of noncompliance and a failure to demonstrate that all reasonable and feasible efforts are being made to ensure that these regulated commercial businesses have collection service or have been approved for a waiver. We have a full summary of identified program gaps linked to today's agenda, as well as the jurisdiction's plans to address these gaps. Some local solutions include implementing ordinances that specify recycling and organics recycling collection as a mandatory service and includes an enforcement provision, providing mandatory collection service to all covered businesses or issuing waivers to non-compliant generators. CalRecycle staff will work closely with jurisdictions to monitor these local programs over the next 6 months. If at any time during this period staff finds that any of these jurisdictions have not made adequate progress on implementing their plan that it submitted or has not otherwise addressed program gaps, then it will be referred to the enforcement branch, which will conduct an independent investigation and consider whether a compliance order should be issued.
6 California communities will receive $1.8 million in grants to help clear illegal dump sites and safely close an old burn dump. Deputy Director Mark DeBee has a closer look at the awards.
Good morning, and thank you, Christina. The next agenda item is about grant awards from CalRecycle's Solid Waste Disposal and Codisposal Site Cleanup Program. These funds assist with the cleanup of eligible sites where the responsible party is unknown and unable to pay for actions necessary to protect public health and the environment. There are two grant programs available: the Illegal Disposal Site Abatement Grant Program for illegal dumping sites and the Legacy Disposal Site Abatement Partial Grant Program for older legal sites that predate modern regulations. For the Illegal Disposal Site Abatement grants, there are 5 awards. Pomona will be getting $300,000 award to clear various illegal dump sites in that community. San Diego will receive over $300,000 to restore 5 sites in environmentally sensitive locations. San Jacinto was awarded $140,000 to clear up 3 illegal dump sites. With a $158,000 award, San Pablo will clean up illegal dumping hotspots in the city's 2 main creeks. And lastly, Yuba City will receive nearly $250,000 to help clear 3 sites of trash and provide outreach to the community. Regarding the Legacy Disposal Site Abatement Partial Grants, there was 1 award, and that went to San Diego County, totaling $696,000. The project is for the clean closure of an old burn dump, including excavation of burn debris and disposal of that debris in an approved facility. So those are the awards. I have other information updates about this program. As you may know, every 2 years or as needed, CalRecycle will revisit the eligibility scoring criteria and evaluation process for the solid waste disposal, cold disposal site cleanup grant program. CalRecycle has looked at that criteria and are proposing to add clarification regarding the scoring of project support letters. And you can find more information on that suggested change in the item links on today's agenda. And the last bit of information or update is to let folks know that the notice of funds availability for the solid waste disposal, cold disposal site cleanup grants are in process, and we hope to have that availability notice posted very soon. Once it's posted, there will be a question and answer period, and we're expecting that will be during the August period. And then applications will be due soon after, hopefully in September. CalRecycle expects to announce the next round of awards in January of 2023. And now I'll pass on to Paulina Lawrence to talk about solid waste permits, tire permits, and any updates on waivers, emergency waivers. Paulina?
Thank you, Mark. Okay, well, first off, I just wanted to let everyone know that the department did not issue or concur on a solid waste facilities permit since last month. But we have a couple that are continuing. The first one is California Waste Recovery Systems. This facility is located at 175 Enterprise Court in Sacramento, California. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed August 16th, 2022. Also continuing is Edco Station, located at 8184 Commercial Street in San Diego County. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed August 14th, 2022. New to the agenda is Mammoth Lakes Transfer Station. This facility is located at 59 Commerce Drive in Mammoth Lakes. It's also in Mono County. This is a new solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed August 22nd, 2022. Preliminary review of the permit package indicates the following proposed design parameters. The proposed facility will be a large volume transfer processing facility. It will also have a permitted maximum tonnage of 500 tons per day, a permitted acreage of 1.87 acres, and the proposed facility will be an expansion of the limited volume transfer operation that is currently at the site. Also new to the agenda is Leo Recycle. This facility is located at 215 Leo Avenue in the city of San Jose. This is a new solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed by September 4th, 2022. Preliminary review of the permit package indicates the following proposed changes. The proposed facility will be a large volume transfer processing facility. The permitted maximum tonnage will be 500 tons per day. The permitted acreage will be 2.5 acres. The proposed facility will incorporate a small volume chipping and grinding operation, an inert debris type A processing operation, and a medium volume construction, demolition, and inert debris processing facility. This will all go into one full solid waste facilities permit. The department did not receive any new waivers since the June meeting. That's all I have. Back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Paulina. Before we open it up to public comments and our responses, we'd like to remind everyone that you can find more information on each of the agenda items we discussed today. Go to CalRecycle's homepage, click on the public meeting web banner at the top, and you'll find a link to today's agenda, the presentation slides, and our live webcast. So now we're going to address our public comments. First, we're going to read through the public comments that were submitted virtually through the public comment portal, and then we'll take public comments here in person. So our first public comment is coming from Jenny Choi regarding the California Bottles and Cans program. And she comments, I used to redeem my deposit on bottles and cans years ago when it was actually easy and convenient at my local grocery store in Orange County. It's not convenient anymore. Plus, many stores that are supposed to refund don't, making it even more frustrating. What plans does the department have for investigating and requiring the many Option A retailers who aren't refunding deposits to actually participate?
Hi, thank you for attending the public meeting and reaching out. I am sorry you're having a difficult time redeeming your bottles and cans in Orange County. I see you've provided an email address, and I will send you both the link to find recycling centers near you, as well as dealers responsible to redeem in your area. The governor, in collaboration with the legislature, has made an investment of over $300 million in the beverage container recycling program with a goal to increase consumer access throughout California. The details of this proposal are being worked out, but we will share the plan and implementation timeline as soon as they are developed and provided. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, Deputy Director Amy Cameron of the CRV program, for providing that response. The next public comment we have is coming in from Joanne Brash from the California Product Stewardship Council regarding the conditional approval of MRC's plan. Joanne says, the California Product Stewardship Council thanks CalRecycle staff for their diligent review of the MRC's mattress stewardship plan. We support the conditional approval and holding MRC accountable to meeting the 5 deficiencies described in the RFA. It's great to see all the stakeholders working together to review the proposed plan and hold the program operators accountable for running the best program that California fee payers deserve. We look forward to staying involved in the plan revisions and implementations.
Thanks so much, Joanne, and the California Product Stewardship Council for your comments, review of the MRC's plan, and continued engagement in our mattress stewardship program. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Zoe. The next comment comes from Colleen Foster from the City of Oceanside regarding illegal dumping. Colleen says, could you provide more detail on whether the illegal dumping grants could help with abating trash derived from homeless encampments in public right-of-way and waterways? Mark DeBee.
Yes, definitely these grants can be used by local government to assist with the removal of solid waste from waterways, whether or not they result from encampments. So keep tracking our progress in the notice of availability and reach out to our staff if you need assistance in the application process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. The next comment comes from Sadie Caldas. Sadie says, the attachment for item F1 for MORE and MCR compliance discusses that jurisdictions may be subject to a fine of $10,000 per day. Can you please clarify the legislation or regulations that this fine would be under? Is it a fine under SB 1383 enforcement that would be implemented on jurisdictions not compliant with MCR and MORE?
Thank you for that question. And no, this would be specific to MOR and MCR. This is separate from 1383. But with that said, 1383 is underway. And, our team, both the Materials Management and Local Assistance Division, is working closely with Mark DeBree's group, the Waste Permitting, Mitigation, and Compliance Division, to discuss what enforcement is going to look like moving forward as we're in this new reality. So if you have specific questions on the legislation or regulation, we can refer you to those sections, and we'd be happy to have a follow-up discussion if that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. Our next comment comes from Mike O'Donnell regarding the Mattress Recycling Council amended plan. Mike says, the Mattress Recycling Council appreciates the continued support of the department and work of CalRecycle staff in reviewing our amended program plan. We look forward to working with the CalRecycle mattress team to clarify the plan requirements in coming weeks.
Thank you, Mike. We really appreciate you and the entire Mattress Recycling Council team for your hard work on the plan, as well as your ongoing efforts to ensure the program continues to be successful for all Californians. We look forward to working with you on the revisions to the plan. Thanks.
Thank you. So that concludes our public comments that were submitted via our portal. So if anyone in our audience would like to submit a public comment, please step to the microphone. Having some technical difficulties. We'll get the microphone on for you. And thank you for introducing yourself.
Good. I'm Evan Edgar Associates, and I'm here on B1 SB 1383 implementation. Over the last 5 years, CalRecycle showed a lot of leadership on investments into SB 1383 infrastructure with the CalRecycle grants for both covered compost and anaerobic digestion, and has shown that it's the most cost-effective program there is under cap and trade. So it's a great program, it's cost-effective, it's working, and the upcoming grant for $75 million would be great. So we're looking forward to further investments in anaerobic digestion and composting. By 2025, there should be over 100 million gallons of diesel gallon equivalents of RNG, renewable natural gas, with a carbon intensity of minus 100. So that's enough RNG to fuel the entire refuse fleet. So we're on course in implementing the circular economy today with this carbon negative fuel within the tank of our fleet, which is near zero NOx. So it's a great future. RNG is a great future. And from CASA, the wastewater folks, and from SWANA, the landfill gas guys, we don't have pipelines. So there's no PUC pipeline in front of our wastewater plants in many cases or landfills, but we use it on site, whether it be for energy to fuel the wastewater plant or the compost facility, or we put it back into the truck as transportation fuel. We don't need any pipeline. That's a community scale. So it works out great, and we want to preserve that future RNG procurement, given the fact that 1383 has an RNG procurement requirement for local government. It's a great option. A lot of my clients, a lot of Californians are enjoying that RNG procurement option as part of 1383 compliance. And that is true circular economy. Under the CARB scoping plan, they're looking at repurposing this RNG. They want to point towards a pipeline. And you talk to CARB staff, we're supposed to take all this RNG that's being used today on site, and you're supposed to put in a PUC pipeline and be used by some industrial sector in Modesto or someplace. And that's not really a local circular economy. It's disrupting what we're doing today with regards to putting this carbon negative fuel back into the same truck that collects it. That's Back to the Future 2, Part 2, with putting a banana peel into DeLorean. It's working great. But the scoping plan is disrupting it into a linear economy. So I've been testifying before about this, and we've been told to talk to CARB. And I do right here in front of this board. I show up to CARB, and we're a large coalition to support RNG procurement for the long term and don't pivot towards heavy-duty ZEVs, which are not zero emissions, nor are they local, and nor is it circular economy. So everything that we're doing with CalRecycle has been great. You guys have been leaders in cost-effective RNG procurement, and local government, we're all buying in. This is a great plan. So I've been asking CalRecycle on numerous occasions, what is the RNG plan for the future? And I'm not hearing too much. We were on a conference call with Cal EPA and CARB trying to coordinate among the silos, and still we haven't got an answer. So it's opportune time because the scoping plan comments are due already. They want to adopt the scoping plan by the end of the year. We have 100 million DG ready to go into trucks by 2025 with minus 100, and I haven't heard anything from CalRecycle is what are you guys doing to protect RNG procurement in order to have local government procurement as part of that, whereas CARB is telling us to put in the pipeline. So I'm looking forward to an answer in order to defend RNG procurement, all the investments that you guys are supporting with your seed money. There should be a statement or an opportunity to have CalRecycle talk to CARB to protect RNG procurement for the long term. And I haven't heard anything yet after 5 questions in 5 months. I'm looking forward to an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edgar. We certainly have heard your comments, and I know that you've talked with Director Wagner as well, and consistent with her response, the scoping plan is a CARB process, and we encourage you to use the public process through that CARB process. And we are, of course, also coordinating with CARB, and we'll continue to, and we're happy to meet. And Zoe, if you'd like to set up that meeting so that we can talk further about the details of how we're engaging on the scoping plan.
Okay, thank you. We have our next public comment coming in. Please introduce yourself and share your comment.
Good morning, Nick Lapis with Californians Against Waste. I have a few comments and a question. First of all, just a comment on thank you for restarting the public meetings. I know this is a hybrid, but I feel like we've lost something over the last few years in terms of engagement with stakeholders and really having a back and forth during these meetings. It's just a lot harder to submit a comment into the portal and have it read out at the end of the meeting. To that point, I'm hoping we can start adding comments at the end of each section again, as opposed to just having them at the end. I know that was added during the last 2 years because of the lag in timing, but since there are folks here in person, and I'm assuming there will be more people in person, it would be good to have a little bit more back and forth on some of the specific items, to just have a little bit more engagement. My other comment is on the mattress plan. Mostly just want to echo the comments of Joanne Brash at the Product Stewardship Council. Appreciate your work and support your recommendation on that. And then finally, just a question on the 1383 funding from the budget. Curious if you guys have any updates on timing or process for that, or how that money is going to be spent, or when we can expect to know more. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. The funding was just approved, and so we're working on the plan for that, the timeline. I'm not sure that we have any details on that at this point, but we will let everyone know as soon as we do.
Great. Thank you. Next comment.
Hi, Veronica Pardo, Resource Recovery Coalition of California. I wasn't necessarily planning on speaking, but I did want to reinforce some of the comments that Mr. Edgar spoke to today. I was part of the scoping plan meeting where I heard a number of comments and presented on this issue along with others in the wastewater sector, and I'm representing the waste industry. CARB staff they did speak to that hitting our 75% diversion target is one of the most effective things we can do to reduce our methane emissions in California. He affirmed, this particular staff member, that we need a big build out of that organic waste infrastructure to meet these targets, and that the environmental objectives that we have, and that it has to happen very quickly. So just to reinforce our comments around the near-term use of this material, and having the continued dialogue with CalRecycle and CARB about the importance of deploying RNG as an energy source in California, especially as we think about the incredible amount of energy that we're going to need year over year, 7 gigawatts of renewable energy over the next 22 years, when the max California has ever achieved is 2.5, so in a given year. So we're just talking about just an extreme build out of both renewable energy, but really, as we looked at the discrete sector of SB 1383 and what we can do, this is a great opportunity. So very encouraged to hear that you're having conversations with CARB, and of course, we will all continue our engagement in that stakeholder process. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Veronica, and thank you, Evan. And as I've said before, understanding the scoping plan is a process, understanding the advanced clean fleets rule is a process. All of your comments are really helpful as they inform our conversations. So I know, Evan, you've been providing us with similar comments over the months, but we use the information that we hear from our stakeholders that are doing the work to implement 1383. So we appreciate the ongoing feedback.
Thank you so much. Any other in-person comments today?
Evan Edgar Associates. This is under open comment. Back in 2018, using 2018 data, we prepared a report called the Net Zero Greenhouse Gas Report for the waste sector. And in the past, CalRecycle has used net zero reports for the bottle bill. Using the federal EPA WARM model as best practices, you can take how much material is recycled and compost or energy and then convert it into avoided emissions. It's a great tool. In 2013, CARB had that part of the scoping plan for the waste sector. They actually defined it. CARB defined net zero being the scope 1 emissions, which is transportation, and scope 2 is energy, and then offset by scope 3, which is recycling and composting. So we did that with 2018 data, and the waste sector was 3.7 times net zero in 2018. For the last 15 months, I've been asking CARB to peer review this data because I cobbled it together from RMDZ data, bottle bill data, organic infrastructure data. Here and there we got carpet care. So you have a whole wide breadth of programs with tonnage diversion. So we took that data and we came at 3.7 times. Implementing all these good policies from RPS, the low carbon fuel standard, to 75% and 13341, the waste sector would be 10 times net zero by 2030. A lot of people are using these metrics. Waste Management, Inc. as a corporation can be 4 times by 2030. So there's a lot of good data as a metric, and CARB is supporting that metric as part of the scoping plan. So I'd like to update this report for 2020, but I still can't get CalRecycle to even peer review my report. It's been 15 months, and I've been asking is my data good? The reason I prepared the report was used as part of the scoping plan process. We were told to talk to CARB. We talked to CARB I talked to CARB more than I talked to you guys. And we talked to CARB a lot about net zero and about near zero, about using carbonated fuel and having organic compost for near zero pesticides with zero waste principles and feeding hungry people. So we're the zero heroes of California. We're trying to tell this story for the last year, and it's not good enough from CARB scoping plan, from the environmental justice community. We're doing this great work today with true circular economy, and we're told we talked to CARB. CARB says, go to the pipeline. So I'm looking for support from CalRecycle to leverage your influence over your mandate for RNG procurement, and it's part of the circular economy, the real circular economy, because it's being disrupted with advanced clean fleet rule to have us go to a linear global economy to go to Congo with little kids mining cobalt, to some bad labor in China to send it to California, which is a linear economy. So we're told we're being disrupted. We talk about the circular economy with $175 million being invested in California, but we're not seeing the results out of CalRecycle. I can't even get my data reviewed. I can't get my report reviewed. I'm using your data. I need verification, at least the tonnages. I want to work with your staff to go to 2020 to do this again, and I want to do it every couple of years. This is work that you guys should be doing. but I'm doing it. In the years gone by, as part of the scoping plan process, the waste sector had a lot of input, a lot of white papers. There was a guy named Chuck White at Waste Management, the guy named Dr. Howard Levinson, this guy, and a lot of other stakeholders put a lot of work in the waste sector in order to define who we are, because we're not just a landfill anymore. People think we're not our grandfather's landfill. We're a system. We're a net zero, 3.7 times and 10 times. So we're trying to tell a story so we can tell CARB this story, tell environmental justice our story. It's a great story, but they don't believe it. They don't hear it. So on behalf of all my private sector clients and public sector clients in coalition with CASA, SWANA, RRCC, and many others, we're trying to tell the story at CARB, and they're not hearing it. CalRecycle is the lead agency for 1383. I haven't seen any white paper, any reports, any communication other than we're talking at some meeting. Where's the paperwork? What are you guys doing to help us out? Because if not, we're being shut down. RNG will be shut down and be sent to some tomato processing plant in Modesto. And meanwhile, we got to hop on the ZEV train to disrupt the circular economy. So the commitment to CalRecycle is a circular economy. You guys talk about it, but we're not seeing any results from that with regards to the scoping plan, and we need your help. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Edgar, and I know that you've talked with Director Wagner, and those conversations will continue on the scoping plan, et cetera, but we do appreciate all the engagement that you brought, and also highlighting the importance of the waste sector as part of the climate solutions, and we are certainly engaging with CARB and will continue as well. So do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and we appreciate the net zero report, and staff have reviewed it. I've read it. If there's specific data questions that you have, we can bring in our teams to discuss them. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to schedule another meeting. We will be getting our latest waste characterization data towards the end of the summer, early fall. We should have that ready to go. We're getting ongoing RDRS data. I think what we're really happy to share is any of the data that we're continuing to collect that can help inform analysis. As far as ongoing analysis, we are digesting a lot of information that we're getting right now from 1383 reporting to better understand how materials are moving, where they're moving. We're really looking forward to getting the capacity plans to have a better sense of what's happening statewide. And to the extent data is public, we're always happy to share it. As far as analysis goes, we have to align with our statutory requirements. And Evan, I know you know the amount of work that staff are doing right now to implement 1383. It's a huge lift for our department, and we've been thrilled to see the progress on the ground, both from our jurisdictions and all of our stakeholders. It's been very uplifting. And as mentioned, and I know that you've heard this, we'll continue our dialogue with ARB. The scoping plan, once again, it's owned by ARB, but we have been providing input and have had that back and forth, and we'll continue that as we get new data, as we're understanding how the landscape is being impacted by 1383 infrastructure coming online. Ultimately, the 2025 goal is around the corner, and we're very motivated to do what we can to work with our sister agencies and all of our stakeholders on the ground to achieve those goals.
Yeah, it's a whole California stepping up. It's a great public-private partnership with CalRecycle, local government, the private sector. We're doing 1383, plus we're doing vision work too. We're busy in the field, but we're looking towards 2030 to get it done. So I guess my request is specifically is a 28 data set that I use, is that adequate? I've been asking for over a year. And what we use is a federal EPA WARM model. It's the best practices and modeling. It's endorsed by the scoping plan from 2013. So we like to use the 2018 data set. Is that adequate? And then I want to work with you on getting the 2020 data set to update that plan, because it's showing a great progress, and we're doing the zero hero work, but we're getting zero recognition from CARB on our work. And it takes more than what we're doing today to convince CARB, because what will happen, it will basically disrupt the circular economy that we all are trying to promote.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you again for your comments. I think we have one more comment submitted on the portal.
We do. So the next comment is coming in from Miranda. Miranda says, good afternoon. Consumer Watchdog recently published a report by Liza Tucker on the failures of CalRecycle's bottle deposit pilot programs. Will there be an investigation into the pilot program specifically related to the conflicts of interest outlined in the report? Why isn't the state pursuing already proven methods that make it easier to recycle and get their deposits back, such as reverse vending machines? RVMs are accessible, and studies show they increase return rates. These pilot programs are not increasing redemption rates, and in fact, the report shows they are decreasing the rates of recycling in pilot areas and limiting access to places people can recycle their cans and bottles.
Hi, Amy Cameron, Assistant Director with the Beverage Container Recycling Program. Thank you for your comment. We continue to monitor and analyze the pilot projects. Several of them have been operational for less than a year. And as previously noted, we are still accepting applications for new programs. So we think it is a bit premature to make determinations about their success. The governor's proposal of the Beverage Container Recycling Program included investments in reverse vending machines. And as I mentioned earlier, we will report out timelines and program announcements in the coming months. Thank you for participating.
Thank you. We have one final comment from Colleen Foster, City of Oceanside. Colleen says, agree with Nick Lapis, this new format provides little opportunity to engage and ask questions or have needed dialogue. Virtual is a great benefit, but before the new formatted and stylized CalRecycle presentations, staff gave presentations and staff paused for direct engagement on each item and had opportunities for back and forth between virtual and present commenters. It is really difficult to listen and then try and type a question in quickly and hopefully catch the group before the next item is brought up. There are no breaks between items.
Well, thank you for that comment, and we agree. We like the in-person format quite a bit, or the hybrid, to allow for folks to also participate online. And we will definitely take these comments back and think about our format and structure as we go forward.
Thank you. Are there any other in-person comments? Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks to everyone who participated in the public meeting today. We hope you enjoy the new format designed to make communication accessible, inclusive, and as relevant as possible. We welcome your feedback through the public comment portal, and have a great rest of your morning and week, and we'll see you next month.